Hi, this is Anya Divine here, coming to you from the garden studio, and I tidied it up yesterday a bit, so it feels more inviting. Now the temperature is fairly low in Scotland today, so I'm well wrapped up, and I'm feeling quite cozy actually. I've even got a hot water bottle. I just had my scones and coffee there on the table. You can see my set up behind me a little bit. Anyway, so I happened to find the microphone today as well, which is really handy. I was at a course last week and we got these beautiful postcards and on the postcard it says, the quieter you become, the more you're able to hear, and that's Rumi. And I thought today that only applies, or that doesn't apply here, because the quieter I become, the less you're able to hear. So I thought, I'm glad that I found the microphone. That was the whole thing, that you could tell that I was practicing that before I came on. Anyway, so I've got a piece of paper on the ground here, and I was also reading a book while I was eating my breakfast there. And the chapter is, so this is Free Play by Stephen Kamanovich, and this chapter is called The Power of Limits. And he says, new organs of perception come into being as a result of necessity. Therefore, O man, increase your necessity so that you may increase your perception. And that's Rumi again. And so it's kind of about the power of limits, you know. So I thought to myself, now I'll gather 4 things to make a picture. I went a bit more than 4 things, but I don't have my usual like huge bags of stuff around me. And what I'm going to paint today is that, can you see the sunflowers? And I'm just going to focus you on the picture on the ground here, so that you can see what I'm doing rather than the image of the sunflowers. And if I share the video to the Facebook groups, like 30 Days of Art with Anya or something like that, I can always put in a photograph. I'm just going to tape the microphone lead away now. I can always put in a photograph of the sunflowers themselves. I'll take a picture after and stick it up on the page in case you want to give it a go yourselves, maybe, or you probably have your own favourite vases and things that you could use. Right, so I'm starting with some, what's this now, Liquitex Acrylic Ink. There we have you, down there. I'm going to put some water, no brush. One of the limitations I realised when I was kneeling down here, but sure I can use this. I have water. I can use the wet paper towel maybe, and I want to create a feeling of it kind of the vertical of the vase. That's grand. No, I'm not going to do any more. Okay, and then I've got this acrylic ink. No, it's not, it's alcohol ink called Caribbean Blue. I want to give a shout out to the lovely people who give me these materials. I think this is from Susan, maybe Claire. And if it's not from either of you, I'm sorry, whoever it is from. I think it's from Susan though. Anyway, so that's acrylic ink, which kind of disperses the no, that's alcohol ink, which disperses the acrylic ink a little bit. They react kind of quirkily against each other. Okay, now the next thing might be something to describe. What'll I do next? Maybe I'll just go straight for those bright yellows. This is Cadmium Yellow. Cadmium Yellow. And that to me reads as sunflower yellow. I've got my tree painting behind the sunflowers there, and it's golden yellow and pink. And so it's very similar to the yellow. It's actually cadmium yellow behind that on the painting. But I think it's okay. I might not bother putting it all in, like the background yellow as well. It's Maisie sighing outside on the grass. You can hear her. We had a football match today. Lily plays football, and so myself and Maisie went over to see her in the second half, because I dropped her off and I thought, look, I'm going to go back home now and sort out the kitchen, because I don't know what your homes are like, but you know, every day there's some sort of like deluge of stuff everywhere. And I quite like starting the day with a clean slate at least, you know, even if it does descend into chaos. It's, I think, helpful to start it on a clean slate in the morning anyway. And I just quite like a bit of time on my own in the house in the morning too. So now that's cadmium orange that I'm bringing in there. Oh, some the blue. I suppose what I could do now is I could use, that's made me think of the possibility of creating the green leaves that are in there through just mixing them with the blue ink I've already used. I'll just let my hands get wet so that I'm able to make it more pliable. So we've got the sunflower leaves there. They're not exactly, well, we're getting to the colour. There's a couple there. Might be appropriate here to put a bit of collage on that bit, I think. I like the idea of having it, well, maybe it's okay without. Okay, and then the centre of the flowers will be quite dark. I don't know if I want it to be black though. And do I want anything down there? I think I'm still just wanting to focus on the flowers themselves. I have got sap green as well, so I could maybe put a bit of that on for the leaves that are sitting in front of the vase there. They're in the shadow more than the petals are. Obviously the petals here are quite bright, and so it's okay that they're not standing out that much from the vase. Okay. And I think I will use the kitchen paper with some of this black Indian ink. Let's see. To do the centre of the flowers. I'd say it's watered down, isn't it? It looks like it's been watered down, which is no harm. And then the dark. I picked up some yellow, so I'm turning it around to get it dark a bit now to re-establish that arc there. It describes the edge of the flower. I could have started with that, couldn't I? And then put the yellow over. Let's see, I think we've got thick enough yellow that it'll still sit over the centres. And I put another bit of dark, of the darker ink into the centre of, actually there's another centre up there too, that one. And I'll put another bit of the dark ink into the centre here. There's a bit slapdash there now. Maybe I can make sense of it with the drawn line of the stick and dipped into the ink. And before I do that, I did see some yellow in my bag of collage paper. I saw some yellow that I thought would be just right. And it probably is, but I'm still looking for more yellows. I think over on this side, the less bright yellow is more appropriate. I'll just put some glue out in the corner of the paper here. So where am I seeing that now? It's kind of going that way, that petal actually. Maisie, don't go on, get off. You need to go back that way. Honest to goodness. She does end up a bit colourful sometimes, you know, Maisie. And then I thought this one might work a bit better where the light is hitting the petals there. Just putting some cadmium yellow over the base of that collage piece so that it sits a bit more happily in there. I think this could do with being in over there, more on the lighter side. A bit more glue. So this is painted paper now that I'm using here. I'm tearing it so there's no white pieces on either side. Where do I want to put that bat? It seems in the end like the petals on this one are the brightest of them all because of the cadmium yellow being behind that bright one. It's actually the paper on the wall that's brighter than the flower sitting in front. So these are the brightest bits here when these petals sit in front of the pink tree. So they have a darker colour behind them to make them stand forward. Yeah, I wanted to put something there. I think it'll need to be a muted mustard yellow. Something darker. I think it was just annoying me a little bit that I went over the area there, you know, that needed to read as petal with the centre, but that certainly doesn't read as the sunflower petal, does it? What am I trying to do here, I wonder? Maybe just half of it could be covered. Okay. And then I was going to I think I want to put a few more pieces on. Getting trigger happy with the collage again. Where's it gone? Oh, it fell off. Because it kind of goes that way. It's aiming towards the window. A friend who lives in France was saying that it's nonsense that the sunflowers face the sun because she was standing in the field and they were going in all different directions. Sunflowers facing every which way. This is a bit of information from Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. Now, I'm carrying on with the collage because I just quite like bringing a touch of something that feels like detail into the flowers before drawing with the ink. And I'm just looking to select the ones that I think will enhance the thing. So I don't want to put the petals just anywhere. I think the added on ones will direct the eye around a little bit. Or something like that. I'm not sure. I do have watercolours here. And I suppose I could use a Van Dyke brown or something. What's this now? It's called warm sepia, but sure, we'll see what that might look like. It looks a little bit like the centre of the. It looks a bit like the centre of the daisies, but of the sunflowers. But the there's a gunky stuff at the top you find sometimes, don't you? So I needed to squirt it out. And yeah, so the centre of the sunflower is really significantly darker than the sunflower petals, really. So I think it would help me to increase the depth of tone there. Increase the darks in order that the lights can be brighter. I'm sure there must be a Rumi quote that sounds a bit like that. Therefore, O man, increase the dark so that you may easily see the light. That was made up. Could never never guess it. Right. I was listening to a beautiful, a lovely interview on Sounds True with Coleman Barks, who's a kind of modern day translator of Rumi poems. But he's not really a translator because he doesn't speak the language they were originally written in. He instead makes poetry from the scholarly translations of Rumi's poems and brings life into them, really. Anyway, there's a lovely interview by him on Sounds True. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll find it. It's just really beautiful. It's called On Grace and Friendship or something. And it's his story of how he started doing the translations and things. A bit of magic involved in it all. We kind of think the world is normal enough until, now and then you hear things that make you remember that it's actually a hugely mysterious thing altogether, the whole shebang. No, I thought, oh dear, look at that now. I don't know what swear word was trying to come out there. It didn't work. Okay, so what I want to do, you see, I feel like I've made the centres of the sunflowers too dark for some reason, although they do read as being that dark to me. Now I feel like they're too dominant. So I'm just going to print off with having put some water on the paper towel. I'm going to print off a little bit. It's funny, isn't it, the way that things go. There's a to and fro with painting. You could be given out to yourself for doing things, for going too far, but actually there are times too when you can keep going with something through a struggle, and just through the kind of morale of keeping going, you're rewarded by something that again feels closer to what was wanting to be educed, is that a word? It was wanting to be conveyed. Okay, so this is Indian ink. I think it has been watered down. I'm just using not spilling out. I'm just using an old stick. Do you see it spilled there? And that stick now is actually a tube in an aerosol spray thing. There's Indian ink stuck in the cover, so I'm just going to clean it off a bit. Okay, go back to drawing again. I'm holding this little stick fairly lightly and looking really keenly at what it is that I'm aiming to explain. So my head is bobbing up and down fairly swiftly here. Maybe not so swiftly, but as my hand is moving, so is my head and my eyes to the part that I'm wanting to explain. And in the middle of it, remembering to breathe as well. Got a bit of a sore neck. It's no harm, because all of these limitations make me want to finish more quickly when it's feeling a bit awkward, and that'll maybe stop me from doing too much. I hear some of you shouting, too late on you. But no, I feel like there is a thing around sometimes going through a bit of a struggle with a thing and keeping going. And you never know, you might be pleasantly surprised again that you're excited by it freshly. Or something will happen anyway. I don't know, am I going to do any more to this? I think I might be done. And it's funny, I thought I didn't have any plan in advance, but I'm feeling a little frustration at something not quite being what I wanted it to be. And I don't know if that's a kind of a noble pursuit to follow that desire to make it more clear. I think I wanted to just make the bottom of the vase more substantial. Again, this might be a bad decision, but sure, for goodness sake, it's only a piece of paper. I'm wondering if I want straight lines in places. There is something really quite bright behind this sunflower. Just going to put in some more of the green. Oh yeah, so if any of you would like to order a calendar for this year, let me know. They'll be I'm going to be printing them soon. I'll have some you know, some quotes and all the rest of it, and some colourful paintings is my plan. Bringing a bit of colour from 2021 into 2022, starting out from that place, passing on colour. And I think with colour comes joy most of the time. Yeah, so and I've got some white ink here. And I wonder about putting touches of that in there to describe the space through the flowers, not the other side. Because actually the sunflowers and their leaves are darker than, especially here, darker than the background. And I want to get a feel for the papery leaves. So I'm thinking that putting some of this white in between them gives me another chance to capture their thin, papery quality. I suppose sometimes you just need to leave stuff when you're not entirely fulfilled by it. You know. And then it's kind of nice to still believe that there's something around the corner that will create more, that'll bring more what you're after, like what I am after. And around that corner I might as well keep in the faith, you know, I might as well keep going. And I suppose that attitude means that you end up making an awful mess a lot of the time, but it also maybe means it's occasionally something happens that's exciting. And I'm wanting not to be bored, you know. I wonder if that's not so much an attribute. It depends on where you apply it, I suppose. But I think in art it's okay to have that desire not to be bored. I think if anywhere you have a license to seek you have a license to, can you see anything? You've got a license to do whatever it is that you want to do. That's what I think. I think that's, yeah, I quite like that feeling of freedom. And there's something disappointing, I think, about stopping. If it's to keep it okay, rather than to push the boundaries of something, and in the name of freedom to keep going. Something like that. I could just feel myself there feeling complacent and I go, okay, that's enough now, that's it, that's the video done, you'll be fine, go on away, leave it alone. and kind of thinking too, like I'm always talking about timekeeping and how I'm often, maybe not always talking about it, but I think about it quite a bit, that I do a bad job of timekeeping. That's some sort of story in my head that a lot of people would corroborate with. But at the same time, I'm not gonna let that direct my fun here either. And just because I feel like it becomes too long a video or something, I'm not going to let that be the reason that I stop either. Because of course you're adults there, most, well, or children. You've got your own free will. You can walk away if you want to. Okay. So I don't need to, as a whole, there's just a slight insight into the workings of my lovely mind there. Just in case you were wondering what went on inside that head. No. And I'd say it's not it's not unique to me, I should say. Those mind meanderings. I think we've all got there's probably a fair few of us now, like, that are a bit bemused by the carry-on upstairs. I wanted to put this bit there. And I think it's a little bit too bright, so I'll probably end up, oh, maybe it's okay. And then I could put another touch of it here on this leaf, so that they read it, so they're from the same flower, you know. If the same thing is in two areas, it makes it more coherent, I think. And I might even put a third piece down, because it seems to me like when things are in threes, you've got more of a chance of it working, usually. And that's actually too big a piece, really. It's to describe just the little triangle of the bit behind the petal there, which is a thin triangle, but I can't with my sticky fingers make it a thin triangle, so it's going to have to stay that way. And then I could stick another kind of dirty petal here, because actually it goes back a bit further on to the right there. There's another sunflower behind that shiny orange one. Just put out some more glue. It's disturbing me a small bit too that there's no floor underneath the vase. Like a floating vase isn't so appealing, is it? Maybe it is. Now this is a bright yellow, so I'm not going to put it back here. I'm going to put the bright yellow on there with the hair stuck to it. Where's it gone now? Here. No, there. I'll put the bright yellow on there, I reckon. I mean, it's not that bright, but it's lemon yellow rather than cadmium. And I think what needs to be back here is more dark cadmium yellow. Dark cadmium yellow. I'm wondering, this is painted paper now. Do you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to put some of the, jeez, my hands are so sticky. I'm going to put some of the watered down Indian ink onto the cadmium yellow paper, because that'll give me then a colour for the sunflower that's actually really quite dark in the background there, and it'll be pointing into the sunflower in the foreground. Yeah, so I'm going to use the pointy petals to describe the brightness of the sunflower that's sitting in front of it. See what I mean? And then we can resolve the outside edge after. Okay, and then there's one dropping down lower here. Okay. Oh, there's a splodge of white ink. I didn't notice there. Maybe just the last little one turning up. Give it a more flower feel to it. Where else do I see that colour? Kind of inside it there, actually. There's a bit of the white ink stuck on it to make it a bit dirty again. I don't like that there. You would think that it's annoying, but actually I quite like the dirt here that I get. Like, the more I seem to enjoy it. I suppose I don't like to have to work within a system all the time. The thing of having to do things a certain way. It's a very childlike thing. But there's a lovely kind of, I suppose it feels like a bit like rebelling against, is that a word, rebelling? Sounds weird. Rebelling, that's it. Rebelling against something. That's what it feels like when I let myself do things outside the box, I suppose. Now, still need another dirty petal back there. Where was I going to put it? Yeah, I think it's kind of in the centre there. And sure, I can always do a brighter one over the top for the flower that sits in front there. And the thing now is to keep it nice and clean. So, I'm not sure how clean it needs to be. I don't think I want the white edge to it though. Geez, I hope the microphone is working because I can understand that I'm talking very low. You know, you don't want to be missing any of the jewels, like. So that's that. This is a bit sticking out at that edge. I think I want to do something over that. And I suppose I could just directly put some of this paint over it. I'm going to need to order myself some more Cadmium Yellow. Although, you know, if I look through all the stuff that people gave me, I probably have got tubes of it. I got some acrylics from you, Susan. Thanks very much again. Right, now. And I think I'll just go back to this little carry on to get a bit more of the feeling of, I'm forgetting where I put the white ink, so sometimes the white ink is seeping into the black. And what I'm wanting is to get the feeling of those tendrils of, you know, those 10 pieces. That those 10 green bits. you know what, it might be a nice thing to do those with a different coloured ink. I'll just try this turquoisey one, because I think turquoise generally works quite nicely with yellow or orange. And it's not the same as the one I used on the vase, because I wanted it to be slightly different, although it looks very similar. Now, tabletop or no tabletop? I think if I put something on the table, it needs to be a bit subtle. I thought all my red amaretti biscuit wrappers were gone. That's kind of nice, isn't it? I somehow like that. I'm going to make a little space for the vase so that the table sits a little bit higher. Okay, that's me. Right, I'm going to stick that down before I change my mind. That is the high flow acrylic medium. No, high flow acrylic. I think that's all it's called. High flow acrylic. Golden. Yeah, high flow acrylic. So it's a bit thicker than the ink. I wanted to put something there. I was thinking if I had a blue oil pastel or something to draw it, that would be grand. But I didn't. And now I've kind of merged in that lovely greeny turquoisey colour with the white ink that was there. And I think I want to get back to something of that lovely Caribbean blue colour. So let's see what it'll do if I put some of those splodges on top there. And now I can maybe mix in some of this blue too, so that it's establishing itself on top of the table rather than the table on top of it. Okay, my goodness, I'm going on and on. I might try and get an edge there. That blue. I'd say I could do with stopping, guys. I'd say I could do with stopping. And I feel like I want to splash something up there. What I could maybe do. Just try it. It's an alcohol ink as well. I think that's alright. I feel that there was kind of a hankering on me to do something up there behind it. I don't know why. No, this is a bit annoying, that bit there, isn't it? I suppose I could always put something something over that. I like the idea of a vertical to counteract all of the kind of you know, the marks that are not so clear. I think I'll tuck that in there. Just wanted something that wasn't completely white to cover that mark, and bring in something to describe the background. Once I can explain it to myself, I'm free to do it. That's my philosophy for this. Carry on. If I can justify it to myself, then I've got my permission slip. The yellow's still quite wet there. Now, I want to get the yellow onto this though. I'll tuck it under the tabletop so that it reads as though the table is in front of the wallpaper. And really making it flush with the edge there is my intention. See, when it goes quiet, I'm kind of ruminating. You could call it ruminating, or you could call it considering, discerning, sifting, sorting ideas. It's just a little bit abrupt how it finishes there, I think. Yep, I'm gonna do that. I think each time I come on it's a similar thing. I'm saying I could do with more cadmium yellow and some more PVA. I know I did say about masking tape though, and look, ta-da! I bought masking tape. So some things do change from video to video. And it's been a long time since I've been on video. Oh God, I'm spilling my black again. It's been a long time since I've been on video, but I have been painting. I've actually just joined the online group Tree Sisters with Claire Dubois. I don't know if you know. And there's a creativity course I'm doing through them. So we had a call yesterday and I was inspired to do some drawing and things. Swans and black panthers came to me yesterday. Something about stealth and as I speak about these wild animals, Maisie does a smelly fart. Right, I think that's me. I was going to just tear that off, but it's all green underneath, so I've changed my mind. I'll tear it from this side instead. For goodness sake, I just want to cover that bit of green, but I don't want it to be like an island of collage on its own. You can still see, that's good. Mind you, I'd say my head must have been in front of it for a fair bit. Sorry about that if it was. Depends on where I turn the camera. The side with the camera on it is down towards me. I must remember to put that towards the painting the next time. See, I wanted to sit back there a bit more. I suppose that'll be alright. And maybe in between I can do a little sheaf of that. Maybe a bright yellow to cover that. Nope, don't want that. Unless I could put it there maybe. And I just cover that blue bit with some of the ordinary tablecloth. I didn't need to make such a mess of that side there. I'll just make it flush with the surface again and it'll be fine. Yeah, I think you're getting it out of my head. Yeah, like there's a possibility here now that I could have done 4 15-minute videos or something instead of one long one. But you know what? It is what it is. Yeah, I think I need to accept that side of me that has a complacency towards stuff like this. And there you have it. Right, I'm going to pull this up a bit closer to you so that you can see a little bit more clearly. And as I say, I will post the video to the 30 Days of Art with Anya Facebook group, and as well as posting the video, I'll post a photograph of the sunflowers I was working from. So there you have it. And it just leaves me to say bye. And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.